Back on the Real Life Podcast, episode 226, and we're once again, for the second time, we're joined by special guest Sam Gagner. And Sam, obviously want to talk to you a little bit about your relationship with Joey Moss and what he meant to not just the community, but to the Oilers as well. And I'm sure you've seen it online. Just the outpouring of love and people sharing their memories of Joey over the last 24, 48 hours here has been incredible. Like, the community obviously just love this guy. And even if you never met him, you had a connection to Joey Moss. But can you maybe talk a little bit about what that connection was like in the room between the players and Joey?
Yeah. I mean, just you kind of felt it the first day that you got in the dressing room, just kind of the aura that he had around him, just the type of person that he was, the impact he had on that dressing room. I mean, he'd been there for so long and kind of like generations of players. He'd been around them, and you hear the story of Wayne Gretzky and how he became part of the room. And he's just one of those guys that, every day he came to the rink, he put a smile on your face and really put things into perspective for you. And he was such an important part of everything they do in Edmonton in terms of creating a family atmosphere. I mean, there was no one better than Joey Moss, and we were able to develop a really close relationship with him. We the group we had at Edmonton at the when I first got there were a young group, and we would take him for dinners and go hang out with him away from the rink, which was it was incredible, and we got to learn so much from Joe. So it was a really fun time in our lives, and something I'll cherish forever.
Sam, for me, one of the most interesting kind of things was, on Monday evening as the news was coming out, former Oilers, current Oilers, players from around the league that never played here, other teams sending out notes about Joey. Was any of that a surprise to you, just to see the outpouring of support from around the league, or was this a guy that no matter who you were, you got a little bit of time with him and it just made a world of difference?
Well, yeah, I know personally when I got a chance to play on other teams, I would say to guys, when we come back to Edmonton, it was, hey, do you guys know anything about Joey? We got to get Joey over to our room. So I would always get the trainers to bring Joey over, and it was, for me, it was like you just pick off where you left off, but just getting a chance for him to interact with some of the other guys on other teams, and for them to see the impact he had on the Oilers organization, it was, after a while, everyone just, Joey becomes synonymous with the NHL, and everyone knows his story and how much he means to our room. So it was, he was just a really incredible person. The impact that he made, even though he's passed on, it's gonna continue to live on. So I think he's, I could sit here all day and talk about, Joey stories and kind of the legacy he's going to leave. And as much as it's a sad day, it's also, I feel like it should be a celebration of everything he's able to accomplish and the impact he was able to have.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed that as well, how these stories all have such a positive angle. Like, you won't find anyone in Edmonton who will say a bad thing about Joey, and if someone has a story, it's one that usually leaves you smiling or laughing. Last time we had you on the pod, you shared the story about your 8-point night, and at the end, you were sitting and having a beer with Joey. And to me, like, a night where you make history, it ends with you just sitting in, as Joey would say, a cold, cold beer. Like that, to me, that just shows how ingrained he was in the fabric of this organization, that on a historic night like that, it still ends with you sitting and having a beer with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that night was, obviously really special from a personal standpoint. And, it took me a while to get out of the rink. I get a call from Wayne Gretzky. I get a call from Paul Coffey, Oilers Hall of Famers. And those were really, really special moments. But at the end of the day, the number one moment for me is, I'm getting ready to leave the rink, and Joey goes to the back and gets a couple beers and brings them to me. And he said, he wants to celebrate because he's proud of me. And there's no, I can't even recreate that feeling. it's sad to think about the fact that I'll never get that chance again, but I'm going to cherish all those memories. I got a chance to this year at the Christmas party sit with him for the whole dinner, and just chat again, have another beer, and over the last few years, Joey had kind of been slowing down. He's around the rink a little bit less, and you kind of knew this day was coming. So, to have that night this year, it was a really special night for myself, and then getting traded back to Edmonton for a second time and getting a chance for him to meet my kids and everything that goes with that. I mean, I certainly don't take that lightly, and it was everything about Joey. It's he's just an incredible person. That's his impact's going to last forever.
One of the tweets that the Oilers shared the other night was it going back a ways. It was from 2013. It was a picture of you and Joey that you put out from the wrestling night. And I think a lot of people don't really understand what that story was. So I'm just hoping you could just quickly run us through that evening and what it meant, because the photo's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple good wrestling stories about Joey, but that one in particular. It was his 50th birthday, and Ryan Smith put together a team party for him where we, where he brought in a ring, and we had a couple amateur wrestlers come in, and they staged this entire event. And at the end of it, we pushed Joey in the ring and said, "Hey, you're up," and he got to go in and pin the wrestler and win the match. And I don't know if you guys know anything about the history of, us staging wrestling matches in the dressing room, but Joe didn't win too many of those matches. We didn't let him win. So when he won this match, he was so fired up, and we all got together and we picked him up over our head and we started chanting his name, and he was so pumped up, and it was just such a great night, such a great tribute to him, and, how much he meant to us. So, it was certainly a night I'll never forget.
I love that you bring up that you didn't just let him win. And Paul Coffey, when he was on TSN the other day, he was talking about how you could give it to Joey, but he could give it back to you as well. And he shared the story of when his first game back in town since being traded, Joey told him, have a good game, but not too good of a game, because he didn't want him to win. Do you have a good story of Joey razzing you in the room, or was there ever a good Joey Moss prank that he pulled on you?
He was, I've told this, and I was talking to Andrew Cogliano about this the other night, but when I first came in, I was, the youngest guy on the team, and, guys would kind of give it to me, and Joey, I think, picked up on that. So he was so hard on me, but so funny. We would just kind of go back and forth, giving it to each other. And, I was at that age, I didn't pick up after myself, and I was, whatever. So I would have Joey come get me from the complete opposite side of the dressing room, walk me all the way over to where my laundry bag is, and be like, "Are you kidding me? You're not going to pick this up?" And I'm like, "Joey, you went out of your way to do this instead of just picking up the laundry bag, right?" That's, he took great pride in his job, and I was making his job harder when I'm picking up my laundry. So it's just stuff like that you always remember.
For us as fans, I think, the national anthem that he loved to sing, just enjoying the moment, all of us got to see and appreciate that when it came to Joey. But maybe is there something that maybe the fans wouldn't be privy to know about this guy? Because just the outpouring of support from players and the league in general, is there something that we didn't know about him?
Well, I mean, I think we were just able to develop a personal relationship with him, right? And, I think that was the biggest thing. I mean, like I said, with our group, we took him out to dinner all the time. He had sleepovers at our house. We had an extra room at our house, so he'd stay over and just hang with us. And you develop a personal relationship that comes with that. And I think at the time you're thinking, well, this will be great for Joey. He'll get to see us away from the rink. And and looking back on it now, it's like, no, this was great for us. The chance, to hang out with him away from the rink, and it was just the most special time. Buddy, sorry, I'm just on a call. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Okay. It was the best time ever. We would drive around Edmonton, and he would bring he'd bring his overnight bag, and so in his bag he'd always have his James Bond GoldenEye soundtrack CDs, right? So he'd put those on in our car, and he would, wherever we're going, like say we're driving to dinner, it took 20 minutes, he'd be screaming, singing this in the back. Be like, it just like, and looking back on that, it was so much fun. I remember a time we took him, he's a huge wrestling fan, right? So he's like, we got to get tickets to this wrestling event. So we're like, okay, we look it up. It's at the Cineplex. It wasn't even like a live event. So like, we're not going to this, Joe. He's like, yeah, we are. We're like, there's going to be nobody there. He's like, okay. So we get there, and we're the last people to show up. The theater is packed. We can't get a seat. So we're like thinking Joe's going to be bummed out, right? Like, we can't get a seat. He was so fired up because we actually had to sit on the stairs, and we're right in front of the screen on the landing. So instead of sitting down the whole time, he got to run around on the landing, and like when the wrestlers would do their signature moves, he would go up through them. And so like the entire theater's looking at him, and we're like thinking, maybe he's embarrassed by this. And nope, he was so fired up to be there in front of all these people, and he was the big show, and it was just the best. And just those memories, you learn so much from that, right? I feel so fortunate to have developed the relationship with Joe, and it means so much to me. So, yeah.
Oh, Sam, we really appreciate you giving us some time today. It's obviously a huge loss for the hockey community, the football community, and obviously you guys had a really close bond. So we appreciate you giving us some time today.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And also, we'd be remiss if we didn't bring this up. Congratulations from everyone at Oilers Nation on your new contract. I know a lot of people in Edmonton are going to be rooting for the Wings next year, so congrats on that.
Yeah. All right, thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam.